tell every student who comes to me that, boss, do one thing. Keep your mind open. Think of opportunities that can happen. Don't land up on the first day of your law school or in first year, second year, say that I'm going to be a litigating lawyer. I'm going to be a corporate lawyer. Explore and see whether it, as I said, resonates with your wavelength.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our Superlawyer YouTube channel. Today we have with us Adv.Aditya Parolia sir, whose experience I would request sir to share and would request him to also share his journey. How did he choose to become a lawyer? What inspired him? And then what inspired him to specialize in corporate, commercial, real estate and consumer disputes? Welcome sir. Thank you so much for agreeing to meet with us again.
So very frankly, the time from where we have started or where I started to do law or where I was when I decided to do law, I don't think so many people were pursuing this as a career, as a first option. And I'm a first generation. There has been no lawyers in my family, which I can recall, not even an extended family. Secondly, I came from a very small town. So again, in small towns in that era, the only thing people were planning to pursue was engineering, and even schools and colleges, their focus were much more driven towards IIT, AIEEE exams and to give out engineers from each and every batch. And I, as a subject in my 11th and 12th, I chose PCM with computers. So I always thought that I will be also pursuing the same thing, but somehow, as happens, it never resonated with me as to this is something which I should do. It never felt correct. And I have a very strong feeling that if something does not feel correct, I don't go for it. And in small towns, if you go and tell anybody in that time that you are doing law, so everybody will think that you are utterly useless fellow or one of the rogue students of a good school, and you are somewhat a dumb person who cannot solve maths equations or science equations, and that is why you don't want to do that. And I think the batch which I belong to in my school was a very celebrated or a very genius kind of a batch, because I belong to an ICSE board and one of my batchmates topped the country that year. So he got maximum marks in the entire country in his 12th, and he got into IIT. Then in fact, the first 7 people got into IIT in the first go, and they had ranks and good ranks in AIEEE. So that was a kind of batch I belonged to. So first, when I told this to my principal and my class teacher, the class teacher was very, very supportive. But other people, my relatives, my principal, they had to give me a good counseling that you are not such a bad student and you are a bright student. What kind of career options you are choosing, etc., etc. In fact, in small towns, I must say that today they might be having humanities as a different section. I remember my school was one of the topmost schools in the city, but they never had this humanities section also. So they were only science section and commerce section. So much so that nobody even opted for humanities. So forget about thinking that you are going into some social studies or something. It was not even an option in majority of the schools in my town. So choosing law as an option did not come naturally to me initially. But luckily, my father was that time in Delhi and he was traveling for work. And he got in touch with many bureaucrats who were there because of his work. And their children were pursuing this. So he gave me as an option. And as I said, it resonated with me. And I found it to be very interesting when I delved into it and I read it. Please understand, the town which I belong to, the district court is not even called a district court. It's called Diwani Kacheri. So they don't even call it as a district court. So they have decent number of district judges, I think 22 additional district judges and good amount of judges, but the infrastructure is not there. And the kind of earning per lawyer was quite bad. It was not very attractive for any young student to pursue that career. And hardly anybody knew about national law colleges in that town. In fact, I remember that 1 or 2 national law colleges, their exam clashed. So each student had to choose whether to give X or whether to give Y. So that was the time when we decided to do law. And I thank my parents for supporting this and telling this to me as a career option, because nobody, no career counselor also who are appointed by schools was giving this as an option. because this was one of the last resort. Even in fact, if maximum somebody would have told you is that go into a commerce section, go into a DU, and you can go give competitive exams, UPSC and all, but certainly not law. And hardly anybody knew about a lawyer. Today, social media is there, you have a lot of information. Now, after COVID, court proceedings have gone online, you know about various lawyers. Hardly anybody knew about a good lawyer. If you ask a small town person, name me two, three lawyers, so they will name only Mr. Jetmalani and Mr. Salve, Mr. Sibbal. I don't think so. They will be able to give you fourth or fifth option also. For them, they are not there. And once you tell it to somebody as one of your relatives, they used to see. Now the situation has changed very drastically. Now, if you're doing law, everybody knows there are national law colleges and equivalent to IITs and IIMs. In that time, they think that you would go to your local law college in your town, or maximum you will go to DU, and you want to contest some elections and you want to go into politics. So nobody thought about that a lawyer could go and do corporate or do policy, go to a UN body, go to international courts. That time, there was huge number of people who were going to foreign countries to pursue their career. So for lawyers, that as an option, it never came to mind of a common person. In that time, somehow, as I said, my father came to Delhi and this came to me as an option. And somehow I got into 4 5 law colleges, but I wanted to be in Delhi. So I chose the main campus of Indraprastha University. And there were only 5 seats for outside Delhi. Indraprastha has 85 reservation for Delhi students. So hardly any outside Delhi students get that opportunity. I think that is the same thing today. I don't know. But that time it was so. So you need to get a decent rank to get into these colleges. So I gave different law colleges, some nationals, which I got into it was a first or a second year for those nationals. So I chose Delhi. I thought staying in the capital where all courts are there, it will be much more beneficial because, as I said, it never came to my mind, or we were not even informed about this corporate practice area or discipline which is available in law. So in that domain, we decided to do law. And I'm very happy that I chose this as an option. And whatever it is still going on. And I'm very happy that after me, my younger brother decided to do law and he became an AOR and everything. So now, if you go to the same town from where I belong, you will see there is a good number of law coaching institutes which have opened up and there are opportunities. During my time, if you wanted to take a law coaching, I gave my board exams. So I think 5th of May or 6th of May, first law entrance was there. My board exams got over on 23rd of March. So I was only given 1 month to prepare, like most of the students. So either you have to go to Jaipur or Delhi to prepare for these examinations, because I belong to Agra, which is a small town where even law preparation institutes were not there. Today, I think there are 8 or 9 of them which are there, but that time not even a single one was there.
So you have made history, I would say, and it's not only that history, you are still making history, and hope that you keep on making history so that we can also proudly say that we had a chance of interacting with you, sir. You have handled cases for around 73,000 aggrieved home buyers. So on that note, sir, I would request you to share with us your experience of that kind of huge number, which is not that easy, and the kind of challenges you may have faced, the cases that may have come out because of that scenario. I would love to understand, sir, how did you get into such a big case and how have you helped these home buyers? Because this is a huge deal. This is kind of life earning for them, and for them it's survival. It's how they see it, because you can only buy a house once. It's what is said. Now people have more options, but I'm pretty sure that you are respected because of that as well, even more by those at least 73,000 home buyers.
Yes, today you can say very comfortably that we are leading practitioners in that domain, and we must be having, I think, highest numbers in the country in terms of the clientele. And a lot of these people belong to every sector or every segment of the society. And today we deal with the cases of politicians, actors, even retired judges, bureaucrats, HNIs, ultra HNIs, and common people also. And when we started this practice, I think that was not something which we thought or which came to our mind to practice in this particular domain. When we start litigation, we take every kind of case that comes to us. Litigation is not something which is very easy. And I always tell everybody it is not for everyone that you should pursue it. It takes a lot of efforts. You need to wear different hats on the same day. A very renowned lawyer told me that litigation is like every day you have to go and कुआं खोदना पड़ेगा और पानी निकालना पड़ेगा, and अगले दिन you have to go again and find a new well, dig in, and again draw water. So that was the situation in litigation. And a very good friend also told me that, and this is my batchmate telling me, and I think I still keep it very close to my heart. He said, Aditya, you know, everybody wants to do something specialization. And that time when we graduated, when he started, arbitration was something which you were looking for. He said, you are trying to make a domain, but lawyers may, you don't choose what practice area you're going to do. Somehow this is like a democracy where people choose what you will do. Okay. And in litigation, you never know what your destiny has kept under wraps. And once you start doing it, you don't know what comes to you. So with that mindset, we started. We were doing a lot of civil cases. We were doing criminal bail applications. We used to go to Allahabad. We used to go to Chandigarh. We used to do a lot of things. I hardly travel now because of our court engagements in Delhi. So we used to do matrimonial. Anything which used to come on our table, we used to do it, and do it with all the dedication which was there. But somehow during that time, this era, when we were in college, real estate was at its peak, which I see it again happening today. And as you know, it's a human greed to get more and more and more. Somehow, real estate market never crashed; it went stagnant. So this circle which was going, that house of 100 rupees is being sold for 120, to then one person who bought it for 120 is selling for 140. So this cycle was going on. And since people started buying a house at 100, selling at 120, 140, they thought how easy it is. For the entire house, you don't have to pay the entire 100 rupees, you pay 20 rupees. And tomorrow you find a buyer who will pay you 25. Your 20 rupees are safe. And I'm telling you in rupees, but this figure was in lakhs. So 5 lakhs in 2 weeks, in that time, it was a big amount. So people said, okay, I'll buy one house, then I'll buy two houses, then I'll three houses. Somewhere down the line, they were genuine investors, they were actual home buyers, they were investors. And during this time, there was no regulatory regime. Today we have RERA and other regulatory regimes. So to control real estate, there was no regulatory regime. And there was a greed of builders also, where they used to launch projects. And before they used to even dug in the first foundation, the entire project used to get sold out. So from that money, they used to launch another project. And that project used to get sold out. Then they used to buy third project. And this happened across the country. Delhi NCR was epicenter for this, but this happened in Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, Hyderabad, everywhere where there was a population influx and population was increasing. Because after 1991, we went to globalization stage, multinational, and a lot of companies started coming and opening offices in all these metro cities, and people started leaving their hometowns and coming into these cities for work. And if you are coming, you need house, right? So there was rental yield also was increasing, and somehow this cycle stopped. And when this cycle stopped, the projects which were to be launched or for which money was taken. So if a builder had launched 7 projects, he delivered 2, but he had taken money for all 7. Those 5 projects came at a standstill because nobody thought that, yes, it will ever happen. But demand supply ratio, in which we have read in economics, that somehow failed. And once it failed, projects were not getting completed. And despite a lot of influx in our economy, political stability was also there, everything was there. The only problem was that things were oversold. So actual buyers might be around, if there were 1,000 units, actual buyers were 500, but all 1,000 were sold. And that is what crashed the market. And it went for 10 years. And in this, when people were not able to complete, and there was a huge hue and cry. And we were nobody, I'm not saying I, no lawyer or no person was looking towards this domain. And that time, only 2, 3 remedies were available for people to go into this. One of them was going for a classical arbitration because everybody had an arbitration clause. But as you know, litigation is expensive, and these were not body corporates; they were individuals who were doing it. And it was a David versus Goliath fight. You had to fight against a builder. People were really afraid. Second option, which became more popular or most popular, was the Consumer Protection Act. And at the middle of it came the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, because it has the original jurisdiction. And every flat was around 80, 90 lakhs. That flat price and the compensation, you can directly come to the National Court. And National Consumer Court, any appeal goes to Supreme Court. So everybody looked towards it. And people started coming. And during this time, since we were doing a lot of matrimonial commercial matters and we were starting, and not many lawyers were there, some people came to us. And the first person who came to us was from a very, very prominent family, a Bollywood family. And she said that, Aditya, this is the situation. And I think this builder has failed. That builder was JP. This was 2014 and 15. And they thought they will never be able to deliver it. And my delivery was in 2011. So help me. So we also pulled up all the acts and read what can be done. And we also suggested Consumer Protection Act. But during our meeting, she said, I'm not alone. Actually, I want other people also to join in. I said, you can call it. We thought it might be 4 or 5. She said, there are 242 in number. I still remember that number. So there were 242 people who want to join. The project is of 800, 900 people. And we 242 people want to file these cases and help us how to do it. And somehow a new jurisprudence in India from these kind of matters evolved, whereby class action came in. India where class action was not that prevalent. Class action means few people fighting cases for all similarly situated, or through a consumer body or an association, you go and file a case. So these 242 came in. And when these 242, we filed a case, one of them said that I have invested in another project, which was Amrapali. We are another 900 people who are aggrieved. So 73,000, I'm telling you, because we stopped counting after a point, and it's a very conservative number. We stopped counting long back. So that situation happened. And from there, these numbers kept on increasing. It became a chain. And we didn't get opportunity to do other things which we had planned. And this became a domain practice. Then came National Company Law Tribunal. And there were amendments made. We were at the epicenter of all these laws which were there. So if you see, the judgments which are there on the real estate, on the consumer side or on the NCLT side, you will always find us to be there. And we had to fight these cases for them. And they were huge numbers. Somehow it was getting very difficult for us to coordinate. When we started the law firm, only I and my partner were there. And then third person joined. Today, we are a team of around 40, 45. But that time, we were hardly a team of 3, 4 people. From there, we increased 4, 5 people. And somehow we had to manage those numbers. In fact, I remember when JP went into insolvency, the situation was so bad. We were total 7 in number. I think it was the first company to go into insolvency, and home buyers were not aware as to what is to be done with their rights. And there were 7 days for filing a claim in the NCLT. The office worked 24 hours, all 7 days. And my team had to sleep in the office. We had to sleep in the office. And at one point of time, there was no space in my old office, which was there for anybody to even stand. So there were somehow 3,000 people in those 7, 8 days. 3,000 people landed up to our office while filing the claim. And we had to say, boss, you have to wait. And it was utter chaos. So as we said, chaos and confusion gives rise to a lot of clarity. So during this entire thing, somehow this became a domain. So I'm cutting down a lot of history. I remember day to day what happened since the time we took first case. And so this happened. And so we became one of the leading firms on the home buyer issue and the commercial issues. When you have such a huge number of HNI, ultra HNIs, you also deal with their personal asset management cases. You also deal with their other kind of cases. So that is how the firm started as its core domain on this practice area. And the rest is history. I think we are still dealing with huge numbers. And we were lucky that people gave us this opportunity. We are really thankful to people Frankly, since we are doing law, we cannot assure results. We can just give our best. Still, if you see, if we would have given relief to around 70,000, just giving a number, even 3,000 people, which is a smaller percentage, or even 1,000 people are unsatisfied, it doesn't look good. It's a huge number. So managing this number and meeting the expectations is a huge task, I must say. You cannot do it. You can't keep everybody happy. And managing the documents which come in, I think we must have made our Raddiwala very rich. The kind of documents which we receive, as I was saying. So we never thought that this will be a domain practice, but today, for last 8 or 9 years, this is a domain practice. And most of the leading judgments on NCLT or Consumer Protection Act, we have been there. We have been as instrumental, and we are very happy and we are grateful that we got this opportunity. We never aspired that this number should be achieved. It got achieved by luck. That was destiny. As my friend told me, that people will choose what you will do, and people chose. And today also, even if I don't want to go to court, I am compelled to go to court each and every day because of this love and affection which people have shown us. My partner does the same thing, and every day we have around 40 to 50 matters listed in different forums. And in our office, since we started young, we have this habit of telling everybody that if you have passed law, you have given a bar exam, and you are with us, day one, you go and please argue in the court, because we too cannot do it. The team has to do it. So we have a very open system in our office that everybody gets an opportunity to argue from the very moment go. And they are rather encouraged every time that, yes, you have to do it. So that is it.
So, sir, practically your niche chose you, and now you are the topmost person, I would call topmost legal firm in that particular domain. And the way you have achieved that success, it's not only because God was very kind, but it is because all of you have worked so hard for the home buyers as well. So, while you were doing this particular thing, you were also very active in national media, and you were approached obviously regularly as a special invitee on various channels for the legal discussions. So what do you think now have become more pertinent issues in relation to national importance and the kind of things we are living into, the kind of disruption we are seeing in the legal arena? You already are a disruptor, and I'm pretty sure you also foresee the future in the legal domain as well.
Nobody can foresee future. I can assure you this. Nobody can predict the disruption. I'll take this question one by one in bits and pieces, but I'll start from the end. On the disruption part, very frankly, ma'am, as I said, I did not choose it, or we did not choose it. The people chose it for us, and we were just there at the right place at the right time. And I tell it to everybody that you just have to keep on working hard. Almighty has written your destiny, my destiny, everybody's destiny. So if you're working hard, you're going towards the goal. Whether destiny knocks your door and you are there to open that door and grab that opportunity, that is all that is required. If you are sleeping and you're saying one day it will come, then I'll do, then I'll act, this never happens. So I've worked with best of the lawyers as a student, and I've not worked much as a junior or a younger colleague. So I hardly my traineeship for 6 months. Then we decided to open this law office. So I've always taught all of my younger colleagues that, see, you have to give in constant effort, put in energy. Consistency is the key. When that door will open, you don't know. When that door somebody will knock, you don't know. And on what subject matter it will do, you just have to keep going. You spoke about future. When we speak about it, everybody is predicting that AI is the future. So you can go and do laws in AI. In my tenure, or when I was a student, everybody thought arbitration and intellectual property right was the right thing to do. Everybody wanted to be an intellectual property lawyer or an arbitrator or pursue his or her career in arbitration. There are hundreds and thousands of domains which nobody explored. Suppose you say that we do Consumer Protection Act big time, we do Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So Consumer Protection Act, nobody thought in a law school that he'll pursue career in Consumer Protection Act. IBC was not even there. Delhi Commercial Courts Act was not even there. So these three acts were not even there. So what went right, which if somebody asked me, I think we were there consistent, and when opportunity knocked our door as a young counsels, we just opened the door, grabbed the opportunity, and we delivered results. And we delivered it with a pragmatic approach and telling them that what can be done and what cannot be done. We never assured anybody that this will happen, because in law, it is unethical to assure anybody that something will, of some sort will happen. We tried our hand in matrimonial law. I don't do it any longer. And I respect people. My sister does matrimonial law. And I respect her by telling her that how you deal with such a practice domain, because it's not very easy. You understand this. People will come to you, file multiple cases. You have to deal with the emotional trauma. Then at times you just give in. And I've seen best of the people saying that we can't just practice this domain. It takes a huge amount of mental stress. So that is one. Now you spoke about future. I was naming the AI. Now think about it. It's a rat race. You just see somebody has become successful in IBC. Today, students come to me for internship or for interviews. They all say we want to do IBC or intellectual property rights. But I tell them something which my dean of my master's in law, Simon Chesterman, told me, that you read something which you have not read and try to do something new. So you must have heard about sports law with IPL, Kabaddi League, and all these things. It's a big domain. There is huge amount of scope there which nobody is seeing. Hardly a handful of lawyers practice that law. You have gambling laws. Now you have this Dream 11, etc. So many things. You have laws on cryptocurrencies. So these are the future laws which I think younger generation should also pursue. I will give you a very good example on this part. One of my batchmates from law school, I think two of them, one is in Twitter, one is in Facebook. And I don't think so. When we were in law school, they thought about getting into Twitter or Facebook. They are policy lawyers. So every country formulates policies. So all these social media networks or channels or handles, whatever you call it, they have to adhere to national policies. They have to be in constant debate with the policy framework regulators. They have to see that all these websites or social media networks follow policies of each and every country. Something which is banned in India may not be banned in Singapore. Something which is banned in Singapore may not be banned in US. So they work on this domain. So I don't think so. If I speak to any lawyer of my age or even today law students, they would have thought that this is a practice area. So I tell every student who comes to me that, boss, do one thing. Keep your mind open. Think of opportunities that can happen. Don't land up on the first day of your law school or in first year, second year, say that I'm going to be a litigating lawyer. I'm going to be a corporate lawyer. Every time it happens that somebody comes to you, I want to be a cop. Explore and see whether it, as I said, resonates with your wavelength. Are you that kind of person that you are will be able to practice this law or this domain, whether it suits you? Very recently, I had an interaction with one of our younger colleagues at a firm. He thought he could do litigation, but later on he said, sir, this is something which is not for me. I want to go in academics. I said, you should go. What is the harm? What is this peer pressure that only a good lawyer from corporate or a good lawyer from litigation can come out? Good lawyers can be anywhere. It is not important for a good lawyer to always don a black coat. I don it every day. It does not mean that you don that coat every day and work. Then I told him that you go to a district court level, you will see how many people who have failed in litigation doing something else and not even pursuing law. You will understand that it's a lot to do with. In fact, Divya ji, this reminds me, I was on a tour and I travel a lot. So I was on a tour to Turkey, Istanbul, and there was a walking tour. People from many nationalities were there. And this gentleman, I was speaking to him, and he turned out to be a lawyer. He was from Chile, pursuing his master's in Germany. You know what he was reading? His master's and his practice domain was Antarctica law. The exploration rights and the sovereignty rights in Antarctica. You go to a law school and tell anybody this, they will not understand. One of the subjects in my master's which I read was aviation law, which again in India in law schools is hardly taught. Space law. Today, Elon Musk keeps on saying SpaceX, space law. So all these things I think are very futuristic. Like today we are talking about electronic vehicles. I think younger students, if they really want to excel, they should go into these domains which are available and try their hand. And I don't think so they will fail. They will do excellently well in these domains It's just that you have to be consistent and you have to be good in what you are doing. And you should understand what kind of practice you are doing. So that is your last part of the question which you were asking. The first part, the news channels and media. Okay. To every lawyer and to every person, this glamour attracts them a lot. Okay. Everybody gets an opportunity. So you ask me how it makes everybody happy. It makes everybody happy to go on news channels. But that is only initially. If you ask me, I have stopped going on any news channels for a long time. It's just that when especially somebody calls me and gets behind me, then only I say, okay, I'll come. It's a good opportunity. People get to know about you from these channels. And when we got the opportunity, because as I said, the entire real estate market of the country had crashed and big companies like JP, Amrpali had failed and there was all chaos. So they need to go to people who can answer them on these things. And then came NCLT, whereby insolvency issue law was so new, there was no experts on that subject matter. So that time it all appealed to a younger me. We were given expertise, but having done that, having said that, it no longer appeals to me. Only when there's something very special, I take out time and do this. And very frankly, the problem is that making time for that is very difficult. And I am of the opinion that every lawyer should keep their professional and personal life balance and give adequate time to the families also, and not only pursue this professional career. So I don't know whether I've answered your question on that media thing fully, but
Beautifully answered it in the best manner possible that our learners will understand for sure. So, given the fact that you talked about personal and professional life and the kind of balance that you look forward to, my next question would be based on that only. How do you find that balance first? Second, when you find that balance, what are the kind of activities that you like to do apart from learning about law? Like you understood about Antarctica law and the specialization in sovereignty, which because of traveling you got. So we would love to hear that because that will help our learners understand what all they can be doing apart from just learning law.
it's 5:40, madam, 5:40 p.m. By this time, I start packing my bag. Maximum usual time for me to leave from office is 6:30. And I'm of the opinion that my team should also leave. And I think my team leaves at 7:38. It is very important that we manage our time. Something which is not spoken much about in our profession, unfortunately, is we do talk about stipends, do talk about salaries, but we don't talk about mental health and mental well-being. And I think once you are with your family and you balance that, I think your mental well-being will be there. Hardly we see a discussion on this. And I am a strong advocate of this, that a perfect professional personal life balance should be there. I'm very young in this profession comparatively, but I've seen a lot of things with my batchmates, with my peers, and with the kind of practice domain we have and the opportunities we have got. We have an opportunity to argue cases against best of the senior advocates in the country. Every day we appear in almost every appellate court. So we get that opportunity to interact and all. And by the virtue of having this law firm, we also get an opportunity to interact with all the equity partners in best of the law firms. And somehow I feel that younger lawyers and we as lawyers have been lost in this race of making more and more money or excelling somewhere and burning out. A lot of my batchmates from law school, and it has not been much of a time in this practice, have burnt out. And youngest of them, they have left all classical domains of law or have gone to in-house practice or have left the law firms and gone to open their own smaller practices, or they have left law also. They have gone into academics as well. I don't understand people working till 11 p.m. or getting up at 4 a.m. every day. You get up at 4 a.m., do yoga for your health, for your walk. I'm very fine by it. You play sports. I'm much more happy. I don't appreciate people calling me after 6:30. A lot of my clients criticize that they get free from office. So I tell them that this is your matter, which I'm doing. Your lack of time management should not affect my personal life. I am there in my office from 9:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. You can mail me, you can do it, but I'll only do my work during this time. if I have to prepare for next day files, I make sure that I find out time during this tenure. Maximum, I'll take out half an hour, 1 hour more at night to read the files. But I will not jeopardize my personal life for lack of time management for others. Now, as I was saying, a friend of mine who was very gifted, very good lawyer, he joined a good law firm and I asked him why he switched. He said, I recently got married. I used to come back home at 3 a.m. And by that time, my wife, who is not a lawyer, used to leave. When I used to get up, she used to leave for office. So, they are newly married people. The entire married life was in doldrums. And what should I have done? So, the only option which he had, he said, and this was not only one of the stories, a lot of people told me the same thing. So I asked one of my other friends who was a senior, she was also there. So from what the discussion which came out was that, see, the work which is to be done can be done much prior. But this habit of delegating work to a younger colleague at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and giving them deadlines of 2 a.m., 3 a.m. morning, that makes things unrealistic. And trying to satisfy or make a client happy by delivering work very fast in this competitive spirit somehow brings out worst in us. And best of the lawyers have worst of the mental health. Nobody talks about it, but it is there. I've seen younger lawyers having sugar, BP, other problems, and I don't know why. And the most important thing when we speak of this law firm culture, I also run a law firm. And every time a person comes to me, I tell them that, boss, I have to keep these designations of associate, senior, principal, just to keep you guys happy and because you want it. But I'm absolutely against it. Absolutely against it. What this does is, now think about it. Now you're making lawyers partners at the age of 33, 34. A lawyer has to work, let's say 60 is your retirement age, right? And if you're 33, 34, you're a partner. The next only option is to get into equity, right? So all your determination goes away. You fought in your initial years to become a partner at the age of 34. You're a partner. Now be happy. Now what else you want? 5, 7 years, you will become an equity also. You see, after a profession, it's your career or your life also, which you have to manage. So from that, you just shift down to a rat race of going to all these designation part things. That is a problem. Advocate getting designated on a senior advocate, it's a very different domain from this associate, senior associate, principal associate level. So I'm very much critical of this, that I think somehow law firms will have to understand and appreciate and do away with this quick succession of these designations and bring in a uniform approach so that we keep that mental health also happy. And I don't know, if you go and speak with these lawyers, there's unnatural toxicity which it develops. The unnatural competition. The competition is not with the other law firm to get the work, but the competition becomes that my person who joined the office should not become senior associate or managing partner before me. Somehow I feel nobody talks about it. This should be spoken about. This should be highlighted. And we have to educate or give knowledge to the younger generation that it means nothing. If you are a very good lawyer, if you're good in your work, success will come. You don't have to enter into this rat race of becoming a senior associate. Very frankly, to an equity partner, it means nothing. For him, partner is same as the associate. Whoever gets the work done is best for it. Okay. It doesn't matter at all. You argue before a judge, whether you are senior or whether you're a lawyer, if you can argue well, get your case out, nothing better. Right? Yes, once you are designated as a senior by the bar, yes, there is a difference. But if you, as a lawyer, even then, if you can argue better than a senior lawyer, get a relief, that's done. That judge is not going to ask you that, yes, mister, are you a partner in your law firm? Are you equity partner? Are you an associate? Who are you? Nobody cares. So my point to every younger counsel is that don't give in to this race. Keep your professional and personal life balanced. Best of the lawyers do it. It's not a T20 match, it's a test match. You have to go for miles. You have to survive. And somehow this is the approach you should always. And Very importantly, your family has supported you today. Your parents have supported you. You get married, your wife will support you. You will have duty towards your children. They will need your time. Your parents will need your time. They had certain desires which, while making you a good lawyer or making you a good student, they thought about it. So try to fulfill them, and I think dedicate equal amount of time to family. That is also important. That will keep your mental health at peace. I'm not saying I'm absolutely pious. I don't get angry. There is no unnecessary pressure which is there. But I and there are two equity people in my firm, I and my partner. There are other people who are different partners and associates, senior associates. But we too try to see that we go home early. When we are in office, our only dedication is towards work, and we bifurcate it. We also go and play some sport. We also take out time to travel with our families. We also take out time to travel with each other. We also try take out time to go with our teams for drinks and some socializing. So you have to keep a perfect balance.
So I just cannot stop myself but ask two follow-up questions in the same thing. First, you brought in the most important topic of mental health, especially for the new entrants and the people who already are practicing. And second, so there are many times like you were talking about mental health and the issues, the way we can resolve it without having a conflict or without having a ego battle. Whenever what I have encountered, whenever I've been questioning these things, usually people, the younger ones, they come up with the answer that, okay, you have achieved something, you already are earning, that's why you cannot understand our stress. Now that is my question, as in if they are going through that particular struggle, because everyone does not come from the similar kind of background, they may not have the same kind of privileges as others may have had. So sir, what about that, and how to address that particular issue, how to make sure that the new entrants have the similar kind of, let's say, the kind of humble background which we get, the kind of love and care we get from the community. And so about mental health, do you really think that there are chances that we'll be talking a little bit more about it in the legal fraternity in near future?
It is the most important topic which should be discussed by the senior member of the bar and the judiciary to younger generation. This somewhere you have to explain them that, boss, not everybody needs to have a Mercedes, not everybody needs to wear a Patek Philippe, not everybody needs to have those Maybach and Cartiers. Even simplest of the people can do very well. You have to get away from this notion. And that is why I always tell judges whenever we are not in the court and we're having an informal discussion. And I admire judges who don't shout on younger lawyers. I admire them who give them opportunity. I'll give you an example towards the end of it. Just remind me of a week which turned out to be a very effective week in my entire life and career. And I say that that week made my career a lot. I'll tell you that. But first, coming on this important topic of mental health. See, as I said, everybody will have to understand that not everybody can do an M&A, not everybody can go in banking finance, not everybody can do litigation. I'm just giving a few examples. Not everybody can do arbitrations. You don't need to be glamour stricken by the fact that people in arbitrations are going to Paris, London, Singapore, or you don't have to see that what car the senior counsels are coming into Supreme Court in the back parking and how they are getting down, what watches they are wearing. You have to understand that that's an end of a lot of stories that you are seeing. The initial chapters you are skipping. So I tell you about myself. When I started my practice, I did not have a car. So we used to travel in buses and metros. So metros had come in. We did not have such a vast network of metros by that time. We also aspired that we will reach that stage one day, which I think we have done decently. But throughout that entire journey, I got a chance to interact with a lot of seniors. And I found out that everybody's journey, they may be a second or third generation lawyer, they may be first generation lawyer, but somehow everybody has their own set of struggles. Now, I have best of the friends who are third, fourth generation lawyers from legacy families. If you speak with them, the amount of pressure they have to succeed in the profession is immense. They have to fill in the shoes of the father, grandfathers, mothers, grandmothers, and the pressure they have to handle is huge. The moment they land up in court, they are compared with their parents, that he or she will argue as their mother or father used to argue, right? He or she will be as correct, as upright as his father or a mother was, who is now a judge. And there are 100 questions which are asked on your abilities, and you are being judged more and more. Yes, there is some support. I agree, there is some support, but they have their own burdens. First generation lawyers have their own burdens. Each have to bear with them. And a younger generation will have to understand this is a journey or a road on which everybody will have to walk. You cannot just see that glamour which you are seeing today, but the struggle to reach there was always there. But now what happens is everybody lands up and says that today I want to go and argue a 9-bench constitution. That cannot happen. Why are you putting that pressure? It will come. What is the harm in learning a smallest 138 case? Learn it. I remember Mr. Siddharth Luthra telling me that 138 cases are the ones which we did big time when I started my practice. So now you know who Mr. Luthra is. He's a legend in a field. So I asked same thing with a lot of people that by 138 करने में district court जाने में क्या problem है? Why can't you go to a district court and do a small matrimonial matter? Why do you need to have that moblong from day one, which is costly? And very frankly, I must tell every young person that nobody, majority of the lawyers, nobody uses that moblong to write. It doesn't work. Everybody has that their own pen which they write notes from. I keep a Pilot V7 to write my notes. So everybody, it's just a thing which people put in. So don't go there, and it does not make you a good or great lawyer. Okay, we have heard stories of Justice Muralidhar working in his Maruti van in the parking lot. You don't need a fancy chamber. If a doctor comes out, he needs to set up his clinic, practice, release a lot of things. In law today, you don't need much. Hearings are happening on VC. You don't need to buy SCCs. It's no longer required. I don't have a single book in my entire office because everything has gone virtual. You have free information circulating everywhere. If you have money, buy SEC online. Following the traditional path is good, but understand what can be done away with. So that will keep your mental health at peace. Secondly, very important, are you made for this particular practice domain that you are in? Okay, just don't push yourself. Somebody says, as I said earlier, people are being pushed to do engineering or to do something. Similarly, once a lawyer comes in practice, from day one, they say, we want to do M&A or banking and finance. I've heard from best of my friends, and this is when we came out. He said they wanted to do M&A. They gave an interview to a firm. Firm said, we don't have a vacancy. You want to work in the banking finance? Please come in and join that domain. So it's the firm which requires the kind of domain, and then you see whether you want to work there or not. And just because you have worked 1 or 2 years, you think that even if you choose your practice domain today, will spoil your entire career. It doesn't happen. You can change anytime. You can change your practice domain anytime. If it does not suit you, you don't have to stay in that arena. Get out, get help, and change it. You know, once I was doing my master's and it was my first initial day, first or second day, and the NUS Law campus is slightly far from the main NUS campus. So there's a shuttle which takes you from the university town to law campus. So in that shuttle, a gentleman wearing a check shirt and a pant, a very simple gentleman, not a young man, but a middle-aged person is sitting, looking fairly young, and he's reading his newspaper. And we had a lot of Indian students from a lot of national law colleges, and they went crazy. Oh, he's sitting. I don't know who he was. And the story of that gentleman is that gentleman was Professor Umakant Varutil. Now, if you read about Professor Umakant Varutil, he was one of the top most leading lawyers of mergers and acquisitions in the country. So much so when he used to deliver his lecture, I had that subject in my master's. I had seen he was standing 3 hours to hear his lectures because there was no place to sit. And he was a genius on merger and acquisition. Even mergers was not even subject I wanted to read, but I chose because I just wanted to learn that subject, not because of him, but the way he taught. My God. But he was an authority on that subject, equity partner of erstwhile Amarchand Mangaldas. He left everything and he passed out from National Law School, I think, 1995. So just 12 or 13 years, he left his law, the entire thing, everything. He went for his master's, did it LLM, then did it his PhD. He's still considered an authority. He's teaching there. So reaching that point, he can say, okay, I am fine. I'm now choosing something else. Why can't you? Even I, once I turned 41, I have told my team that, boss, you handle this entire firm. I'm going for academics. My only advice to younger people is that don't think that if I do X or if I do Y, I will reach a particular point. You may or may not, but don't put that pressure upon you. Okay. It is not necessary for every lawyer to become a senior advocate. I'm telling you, some of us don't even aspire to become a senior advocate because it does not suit us financially. There are too many senior advocates, all due respect, and some of us want to run a firm. You will learn it at a later stage. Better learn it now than later. But don't spoil your health, your mental peace, your family life. And by the time everything is spoiled, then you learn that all this I did for nothing. It will be too late. So learn it from the day one. Slow and steady will win the race. Don't worry. It doesn't work like that. Everybody came out from the law school. Nobody had those clients from day one. In fact, people who are going to corporates, at least they have some good salary. People in litigation don't even have a salary from day one. Okay, they had to struggle, they had to do apprenticeship, I don't know what all. There's a huge amount of uproar going on in the market. Somebody had put a poster yesterday that a Momo vendor put a signage for a helper 20,000 per month. You go and ask litigation lawyers how much they are getting. They're not even getting this much after decent experience. So everybody had their own set of struggles. Yes, we have reached there. It is easier to say it right now. Yes, we are telling you this because we have reached, we have done this, and we have not done anything special to reach here. We just did our job. We just did our job. I will tell you something. I don't know whether I should or not. It's a dangerous thing to tell, but yes, tax authorities give you certificates, right? I think till 2019, there was a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So those certificates are there with me. It is given to the highest taxpayers of the country. Okay. So I've reached all four stages when I'm telling you this, and I get notices from the tax that whenever I fill in a lesser advanced personal tax, I get a reminder from the tax authorities saying that, boss, you are fine now. Why have you filled in a lesser amount? You are one of the highest taxpayers of our town, that is from my hometown. Why have you deposited? All is fine. Please see. So why I'm telling you this, if I can achieve this by doing nothing, anything special, just doing my work, you also can do it. You just have to be consistent. Undue pressure does not help you, my friends. And I think today what our profession genuinely needs is good mentorship. Somebody has to go and tell these young people that आप अपना काम करते रहो, and I'm sure if you are doing it with all your dedication, one day you will reach wherever you want to reach. But if you burn out at the age of 27, 28, and you have high BP and sugar, and I'll tell you, a friend of mine passed away from heart attack, practicing litigating lawyer at the age of 29, and he had a heart attack. So it is 7, 8, 9 years ago now. He passed out of heart attack, and the only thing doctor said, he was highly stressed. He's a very fine person. I just met another person, very young lawyer, and he said that I have BP problem. I said, you are much more younger than me. Why do you have a BP problem? Why do you take so much stress? Today, you have your children, you have your father. If tomorrow you are not there, they are not going to be happy. But tomorrow you have a WagonR instead of Mercedes, तब भी चलेगा. But कल आप नहीं होंगे तो नहीं चलेगा ना boss. So let's understand this, and I think every profession needs to give that reality check to our younger generations. Everybody. For that, we need to do away with these rat races of designations in law firms. We need to explain our younger generation that these cars, pens, watches are not the ones which make you a good lawyer. For younger generation, you go and meet Mr. Rajiv Nair. Most of the time, he's not even wearing a senior designation coat. And he's not the only one. I've seen many seniors not even wearing that. They just do their work very well and excellently. They don't have to go out, and I have seen Mr. Fali Nariman coming out of a Honda City. If tomorrow, if all good lawyers want to come, there can be hundreds of Rolls Royce in the Supreme Court parking area. Everyone has that paying capacity. But does it matter? Does it matter? Their work matters. You go and speak with Mr. Manu Singhvi. See the intellectual level that he talks about. The work he puts in, that is what resonates for him. So that is what works for him. It may or may not work for you. So you don't have to copy Mr. Manu Singhvi. You have to see everything, judge, and see what is correct for you. That is as simple as that. And that is what I will tell everybody, that everybody has walked through those things. And you go and speak with any second generation or third generation, understand their pressure, that how much pressure they are in. I, being a first generation, understand your pressure, but be true to yourself, be true to your client, true to your work, and be a nice human. Very important, madam. Be a nice human. I've spoken to best of the counsel, equity partners. Yes, when we are young, we are afraid of speaking with them or judges. They're fine humans. And I think if you're a nice human, you will do well in your life.
So thank you so much for such a candid interview. I really hope this reaches the masses and everyone. And my learners and our learners from Superlawyer and LawSikho can learn from it. And the way we have understood is you are absolutely approachable. I really will request you to be this candid as much as possible and for as long as possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Divyaji. It was a pleasure. And I really want this mental health thing should be informed to a younger generation, because I see them working in my firm, I see them working outside, and I don't see them happy. And if you're doing something and you're not happy, better not do it. Better not do it. And something which we don't emphasize, please find out time for yourself. Please find out time for yourself. And I think that's all.
So it's absolutely a privilege, and thank you for agreeing to meeting with us.